The sky was dark and heavy with thick gray clouds. It had been raining on and off all morning, and the streets were wet and slippery. People hurried by, holding umbrellas and trying to avoid puddles. It was the kind of day that made everyone feel a little rushed and annoyed. Claire, a woman in her early 30s, was one of those people. She was walking fast, her heels clicking on the wet sidewalk as she tried to get to her meeting on time. Claire was a busy professional working at a marketing firm downtown. She was known for being confident and direct, sometimes a little too much for some people. But she didn't mind. She believed that being straightforward helped her get things done. Today was very important for Claire because she had to present a big proposal that could help her company get a new client. She was dressed in a smart navy blue suit, carrying a leather briefcase, and had her phone pressed to her ear as she walked. "Yes, I'm almost there. Just a few more minutes," Claire said quickly into the phone. Her voice was low but serious. She was already going over her presentation in her mind, thinking about the key points she had to cover. As she moved quickly through the crowded park area, she didn't watch where she was going. The paths were muddy because the rain had softened the ground and some parts had large puddles. Claire was focused on her call and her plan. Suddenly, without noticing, her heel hit a small wet patch on the side of the path, and she stumbled, slightly. To steady herself, she took a step back, and in that moment a splash of muddy water flew from a nearby puddle, landing right on the jacket of a woman walking calmly beside her. The woman stopped and looked down at her jacket. Mud had splashed in a few places, leaving dark wet marks on her light-colored designer coat. She was standing still now, looking very composed. She reached into her bag, took out a small cloth, and began to gently clean the mud off. Her movements were slow and graceful, showing that she was used to taking care of herself and her things, with great care. Claire immediately stopped talking on the phone and looked over, surprised and a little annoyed. "Oh no, I'm so sorry," she said quickly, but her voice didn't sound very sincere. She wasn't really paying full attention because she was still thinking about the meeting. "I didn't mean to splash you, it's just this awful weather." The woman didn't say anything. She just smiled faintly, a calm, quiet smile that did not seem upset at all. There was something unusual about her. She was tall, with straight black hair tied back neatly. Her skin was smooth and dark, glowing even, in the dull light. Her eyes were sharp and seemed to watch everything around her carefully, but without any anger. Claire looked at the woman again and noticed her expensive coat and the way she carried herself. There was a feeling of confidence about her that made Claire feel a little uncomfortable, but before she could say anything else, the woman simply nodded and continued walking. Claire felt a strange mix of relief and curiosity as she watched the woman leave. She thought about the mud on the woman's coat. It didn't seem to bother her at all, even though it was clearly a valuable jacket. Claire's mind started to wander. Who was this woman? Why was she so calm when Claire had been so careless? And why did she feel a little bit shaken by the whole thing? Claire shook her head, trying to clear her thoughts. She had to get moving. The meeting was in less than 10 minutes, and she didn't want to be late. She turned and hurried toward the office building, still thinking about the woman and the small moment that had just happened. Meanwhile, the woman, whose name was Maya, walked slowly through the park. She wiped the mud from her coat with care, but didn't rush. Maya had a secret that no one around her knew. She was the CEO of a huge company, one of the most successful businesses in the city. But today she wasn't acting like a CEO. She was undercover. Maya had chosen to leave her usual office behind and walk among the people in the city to see how her company's employees treated others. She wanted to understand what her customers and workers really experienced every day. It was part of her plan to improve her business and make it better for everyone. But it also gave her a chance to see the city without anyone paying attention to her. She wasn't upset about the mud. Maya understood that accidents happen. What interested her was the way Claire had acted. She had seen something in Claire's quick apology, but also in her distracted attitude. Maya knew that sometimes people in stressful jobs don't have time to think about others, and she wanted to see if Claire was like that in her work too. As Maya continued walking, she noticed many other people around. Some were chatting with friends under umbrellas, others were rushing to get out of the rain. Maya felt calm but alert, ready to observe and learn from the day. At the same time, Claire was arriving at the office building. She took a deep breath before stepping inside. The lobby was warm and dry, with bright lights and shiny floors. She smiled to herself, hoping the meeting would go well despite the rainy start. But deep down, Claire couldn't stop thinking about the woman with the muddy coat. It was strange how one small moment could stay in her mind. She wondered if she would ever see that woman again. As the rain continued to fall outside, the city moved on. People were busy with their own lives, unaware that a simple splash of mud had just connected two very different women in a way that would change both their lives. Claire's day continued with its usual rush. After the small incident in the park, she tried to put the mud splash behind her. But something about that moment kept running through her mind. The calm woman with the dark skin and neat black hair had stayed with her in a way that was hard to explain. Back in the office, Claire sat down at her desk and opened her laptop. She had emails waiting, calls to make, and documents to review before the big meeting. Her boss had high hopes for her presentation, and Claire did not want to disappoint. But as she looked at her screen, her thoughts drifted back to the woman. Claire wondered what kind of person that woman was. She didn't seem angry or upset about the mud at all. Instead, she had handled it with quiet grace. Claire realized she herself had been too rushed and impatient in that moment. Maybe she had been a little careless and selfish, thinking only about her own problems. The thought made Claire feel uneasy. At the same time, Maya was far from the busy office. She was still walking, moving slowly through the city streets. She liked to watch people, notice small details about how they lived and worked. Today, she wasn't wearing her usual expensive clothes or jewelry. She wanted to blend in, to see the world from the outside, not as the CEO of a company, but as a person. Maya had a plan to spend the whole day walking around, talking to people, and observing how life really was for those connected to her business. She believed that to be a good leader, she had to understand the world beyond her office walls. Sometimes she wished she had more time for these moments. It helped her remember why she worked so hard. Maya's thoughts returned to Claire. She had noticed how Claire had apologized quickly but seemed distracted and stressed. There was something real in Claire's attitude, maybe a sign of the pressure she faced in her job. Maya decided to watch quietly from a distance, curious to see what Claire would do next. Later that afternoon, the rain stopped, and the sun began to peek through the clouds. The park started to fill again with families and people enjoying the fresh air. Claire, feeling a little better after the meeting went well, took a break and walked outside to get some fresh air. As she moved through the park, she saw the same woman again, Maya. This time, Maya was sitting on a bench, looking out over the small pond. She seemed calm and peaceful. Claire stopped, wondering if she should say hello. Claire's heart beat a little faster. Was it strange to talk to someone she barely knew? But the curiosity was stronger. She walked closer and smiled softly. "Hi," Claire said, trying to sound friendly but a little nervous. "I didn't expect to see you again." Maya looked up and returned the smile. "Hello," she said warmly. "It's a beautiful afternoon now, isn't it?" Claire nodded, feeling a bit more relaxed. "Yes, much better than the rain earlier." They talked for a few minutes about the weather, the city, and how the day had been so far. Claire found herself opening up a little more than usual. There was something about Maya's calm presence that made her feel safe. After a while, Maya asked Claire about her work. Claire explained her job in marketing and how important the meeting had been. Maya listened carefully, asking questions that made Claire think more deeply about what she really wanted from her career. The conversation was different from Claire's usual talks with colleagues. Maya didn't judge or rush her. Instead, she offered thoughtful advice about balance, leadership, and kindness. Claire began to see Maya not just as a stranger, but as someone who understood the challenges she faced. She shared some of her worries about work and life, the stress of deadlines, the pressure to succeed, and the fear of failing. Maya nodded, showing empathy. "It's normal to feel that way," she said. "But remember, success is not just about the job or money. It's about how you treat others and how you grow as a person." Claire thought about this deeply. It was a different way of looking at things than she was used to. Usually she focused only on results and climbing the ladder. The two women spent a good half-hour talking before Claire realized she had to return to the office. She stood up, feeling lighter and more hopeful than before. "Thank you," Claire said sincerely. "I didn't expect to meet someone like you today." Maya smiled gently. Sometimes the most unexpected meetings can teach us the most. They said goodbye and Claire walked away with a new feeling of calm determination. Maya watched her leave and felt a small hope that Claire might change for the better. But Maya also knew that real change takes time and effort. She wanted to help, but only if Claire was ready. For the rest of the day, both women moved through their separate worlds. Claire back at the office, now thinking differently about her job, and Maya continuing her quiet walk through the city, learning and observing. That day, a simple splash of mud had started something much bigger than either of them imagined. A few days had passed since Claire's chance meeting with Maya in the park. Claire's life had returned to its usual fast pace, with emails, meetings, and phone calls filling up her schedule. But something about Maya stayed in Claire's thoughts. She found herself thinking about their conversation more than she expected. Claire kept wondering who Maya really was. There was something about her calm, confident way of speaking that made Claire curious. She also felt a little embarrassed about how she had acted when the mud splashed on Maya's coat. Claire realized she had been so focused on her own worries that she hadn't stopped to think about others. Meanwhile, Maya was preparing for an important business event that evening. It was a formal gathering where leaders from different companies met to talk about partnerships and opportunities. Maya was expected to attend as the CEO of her company. She spent the day carefully selecting her outfit and reviewing notes for the speeches she might give. But Maya was also thinking about Claire. She had watched her during the last few days, noticing small things on social media and through some contacts. Maya saw that Claire worked at a company that sometimes partnered with her own. This gave Maya an idea. Maybe this event could be a chance for them to meet again, this time in a different setting. That evening, the event was held in a large, elegant hotel downtown. The ballroom was beautifully decorated with chandeliers and soft lighting. People wore formal dresses and suits, and the air was filled with quiet conversations and polite laughter. Claire arrived a little nervous but ready to make a good impression. She was dressed in a simple but elegant dress, her hair neatly done. She moved through the crowd, shaking hands and introducing herself to people. Claire wanted to show that she belonged in this world of business leaders. At the same time, Maya entered the room with confidence. She greeted guests warmly and spoke with a calm, friendly tone. Though she was a powerful CEO, Maya never acted distant or cold. She believed that being kind and approachable was important for leadership. As Claire moved closer to the refreshment table, she suddenly heard a familiar voice behind her. "Claire, isn't it?" The voice was soft but sure. Claire turned and saw Maya standing there smiling. Claire's heart skipped a beat. She hadn't expected to see Maya at this event. The woman who had been so calm and mysterious in the park was now in a stunning black dress, her presence commanding attention. "Yes, that's me," Claire replied, trying to keep her voice steady. "It's nice to see you again." Maya nodded. "It's nice to see you too. I hope your week has been good." Claire smiled, feeling more relaxed. "It's been busy, but good, thank you." For a moment they stood quietly, watching the other guests. Then Maya spoke again. "I wanted to say something about that day in the park, when the mud splashed on me." Claire looked surprised. "Oh, I'm sorry again about that. I didn't mean to be careless." Maya shook her head gently. "No need to apologize, it was just a small accident. What mattered more was how you handled it afterward. Sometimes people get upset and blame others. You didn't do that." Claire thought about Maya's words. She had always believed that being direct and strong meant never showing weakness. But Maya was showing her a different kind of strength, kindness and understanding. The conversation between them caught the attention of a few nearby guests. Some smiled quietly, noticing the unusual friendship forming between a young executive and a powerful CEO. Maya then invited Claire to join her for a short walk outside during a break. The two women stepped out onto a balcony overlooking the city lights. The air was cool and fresh, a nice contrast to the warm noise inside. Claire took a deep breath and looked out over the skyline. "I have to admit," she said quietly, "I was surprised to see you here. I didn't know you were connected to my company." Maya smiled knowingly. "I like to learn about the people who work in and with my business. It helps me understand what really happens behind the scenes." Claire nodded. "I guess that's why you were walking in the park that day, not in your usual CEO clothes." "Yes," Maya said. "I wanted to see things from a different point of view, to understand the daily lives of people like you." Claire looked at Maya, feeling a new respect for her. "That takes courage," she said. "Most people wouldn't do that." Maya shrugged slightly. "Leadership is not about titles or money. It's about listening, learning, and helping others grow." They talked quietly for several minutes, sharing thoughts about work, life, and the challenges of balancing both. Claire felt encouraged by Maya's words. For the first time, she thought seriously about what kind of leader she wanted to be. Suddenly, a colleague called Claire back inside. She turned to Maya and said, "Thank you for this. I hope we can talk again soon." Maya smiled warmly. "I hope so too." As Claire walked back into the ballroom, she felt a new sense of purpose. She realized that meeting Maya was more than just a coincidence. It was a chance to learn and grow in ways she hadn't expected. Maya watched Claire move through the crowd. She saw potential in Claire, potential not only as a businesswoman but as a person who could become a true leader. Maya decided to support Claire's journey, but she knew it would take time and patience. That night, as the event continued, two very different women were connected by more than just a splash of mud. They were connected by a growing understanding and a shared hope for the future. After the big event, Claire found herself thinking a lot about Maya's words. For the first time, Claire saw that being successful wasn't only about working hard or winning arguments. It was also about how she treated others and how she grew as a person. But Claire knew this kind of change was not easy. Old habits and pressure from work made it hard to slow down and think about things differently. The next morning, Claire arrived at the office with a quiet determination. She wanted to try and do better, not just for her career, but for herself. She remembered what Maya had said about kindness and leadership. Claire decided to start small. She greeted her coworkers with a genuine smile, listened more during meetings, and tried to be patient when things went wrong. It wasn't always easy. Some days were stressful, and Claire found herself slipping back into her old ways of rushing and focusing only on results. But each time, she thought about Maya and the calm way she handled situations. That memory gave Claire strength. Meanwhile, Maya continued her work as CEO, but now she had another mission. She wanted to help Claire become the leader she could be. Maya reached out quietly, inviting Claire to join her for a series of informal meetings where they could talk about work, leadership, and life. Claire accepted, feeling both excited and nervous. Their first meeting was at a small cafe near Maya's office. It was a cozy place with soft music and warm lighting, perfect for a quiet conversation. Maya ordered tea and Claire chose coffee. They sat across from each other, ready to start a new kind of conversation. Maya began gently. "Claire, I see a lot of potential in you. But leadership is not just about making decisions or managing people. It's about understanding yourself first." Claire nodded, eager to learn. "Sometimes I feel like I'm running too fast and losing sight of what's important," she said. "That happens to all of us," Maya replied. "The important thing is to stop and reflect. Ask yourself why you want to lead and what kind of leader you want to become." Claire thought about this for a moment. She realized she had never really asked herself those questions before. She had been so focused on proving herself that she forgot to think about what truly mattered. Maya smiled encouragingly. "Leadership is a journey. It takes time, patience, and kindness, especially to yourself. Over the next few weeks, Maya and Claire met regularly. They talked about many things: how to listen better, how to handle stress, and how to inspire others by example. Maya shared stories from her own life, including challenges she had faced as a woman of color in a world that often judged people by their appearance. Claire listened carefully, learning not just about leadership, but about courage and resilience. She began to understand that success was not just about climbing the ladder, but about lifting others up along the way. At work, Claire started to notice changes too. She found herself more patient with her team and more open to new ideas. Her coworkers began to see a different side of her, a side that was supportive and thoughtful. One day, after a particularly challenging meeting, Claire remembered something. Maya had said, "Sometimes the best way to lead is to listen." Instead of insisting on her own ideas, Claire asked her team for their opinions. She was surprised to find that they had creative solutions she hadn't thought of. The project improved, and the team felt more motivated. Claire felt proud of herself, but also humble. She knew there was still a long way to go, but she was ready for the journey. Maya watched from a distance, pleased to see Claire growing. She knew that real change came from inside, and Claire was beginning to find her own strength. One afternoon, Maya invited Claire to visit her company's headquarters. It was a large, modern building filled with people from many different backgrounds. Maya wanted Claire to see the work her company was doing to support diversity and create a positive workplace culture. As they walked through the halls, Maya introduced Claire to several employees who shared their stories. Claire listened with interest, realizing how important it was to create a place where everyone felt valued and respected. Later, Maya took Claire to a quiet room filled with books and plants. It was a space Maya used for thinking and planning. She encouraged Claire to take some time for herself there whenever she needed. "Taking care of yourself is not selfish," Maya said. "It's necessary if you want to be a good leader." Claire smiled, feeling grateful. She had never had someone care for her growth like this before. Their friendship grew stronger with each meeting. Claire began to see Maya not just as a boss or mentor, but as a true friend. One evening, as they finished a meeting, Claire looked at Maya and said, "Thank you for believing in me, even when I didn't believe in myself." Maya placed a hand gently on Claire's shoulder. "I see what you can become, Claire. Don't ever forget that." Claire left the meeting feeling hopeful and inspired. The mud on that rainy day now seemed like a small moment that had changed her life in big ways. She knew challenges would come, but with Maya's guidance and her own new mindset, Claire was ready to face them with courage and kindness. Weeks turned into months. Claire continued to grow, not just in her work, but as a person. Each day brought a new lesson. Some were easy, others were hard. But with each one, she tried to stay calm, patient, and kind, just like Maya had taught her. Her co-workers started to notice the change. Claire, once known for being sharp and a little too focused on deadlines, now listened more, shared more, and made time to help others. She encouraged her team when they felt unsure. She gave credit when someone else had a good idea. Slowly, her team began to work better together, and even the office atmosphere became warmer and more welcoming. One morning, Claire was called into a meeting with the executive board. She had been preparing for this for weeks, not just with data and reports, but with confidence and a new approach. She walked into the boardroom with her head held high. She wasn't nervous like before. She had learned to believe in herself. As she began her presentation, Claire didn't just talk about numbers or strategies. She spoke about people, teamwork, and long-term growth. She talked about creating a company where everyone had a voice, and where kindness and leadership went hand in hand. By the end of the meeting, the board members were impressed. One of them leaned forward and said, "Claire, this is one of the most thoughtful presentations we've seen. You're not only growing as a manager, you're becoming a true leader." Claire felt a wave of joy wash over her. It wasn't just about being noticed. It was about being seen for who she truly was. Later that day, she received an email from Maya. The subject line simply read, "Proud of you." Inside was a short message. "I watched the meeting. You were graceful, thoughtful, and strong. Keep walking your path with purpose. You're ready for the next step. Claire smiled as she read it. She didn't need long messages. Those few words from Maya meant the world to her. That weekend, Maya invited Claire to a charity event her company was hosting. It wasn't a formal business event, more like a celebration of people from different backgrounds coming together to support a cause. There were children playing, food from different cultures, music and laughter. It was the kind of event that reminded everyone what really mattered: community. As Claire walked in, she saw Maya greeting guests with her usual warm smile. People of all ages and backgrounds came up to Maya, hugging her or shaking her hand. Claire could see how much they admired and respected her, not just because she was a CEO, but because she treated everyone like they mattered. Maya spotted Claire and waved her over. "I'm glad you came," she said. "I wouldn't miss it," Claire replied. They walked through the event together, stopping to talk with volunteers, families, and students. Claire noticed how Maya remembered everyone's name and always asked about their lives. It was another lesson in leadership, not from books or business school, but from the heart. At one point, Claire asked, "How do you do it? How do you stay so calm and kind even when things are hard?" Maya paused, then replied, "It's not always easy, but I remind myself of who I am and why I do this. I believe that every person has a story, and when we take time to listen, we become better leaders and better people." Claire nodded. "You've taught me more in these past months than I've learned in years." Maya smiled gently. "And you've grown more than you know. I think you're ready for what comes next." Claire looked curious. "What do you mean?" Maya took a deep breath. "There's an opening for a senior leadership role in my company. I want you to apply. You've already shown that you can lead with strength, but also with heart. That's the kind of person we need." Claire was speechless for a moment. "Me? At your company?" "Yes," Maya said, her voice calm and sure. "You've earned this. Not just because you've changed, but because you care. That's what real leadership is." Tears welled up in Claire's eyes, not out of sadness, but out of gratitude. She had come so far from the woman who once rushed through a muddy park, thinking only about her next meeting. Later that evening, as the sun set and the event came to a close, Claire found a quiet spot to sit and reflect. Children laughed in the distance. The smell of food lingered in the air. She looked up at the sky and smiled. She thought about her journey, about the woman she had splashed mud on without knowing she was her future mentor, her guide, and now her friend. That single moment had changed everything. Claire knew that she would never stop learning. There would always be more to understand, more people to help, more challenges to face. But she felt ready now. She stood up and walked back toward the crowd, her steps steady and sure. She was not the same person she had been before, and she was proud of that. Across the field, Maya watched her go and smiled. She didn't say anything. She didn't need to. She had seen this kind of growth before, and she knew Claire was just getting started. Because sometimes a single moment, a splash of mud, a soft conversation, a second chance, can open the door to a whole new life. And in that life, both women, so different yet now deeply connected, were walking forward with purpose, kindness, and strength. Together, they had proved that real success isn't measured by titles or wealth, but by how we treat others, how we lift each other up, and how we grow from our mistakes. And that perhaps is the greatest kind of success of all.